For today's movie review, I'll be reviewing the 1966 Hammer film 1 Million Years B.C., a movie that is a remake of the 1940s American fantasy film 1 Million B.C. This movie has a really unusual case because it's the only time in film history where the movie's poster is more famous than the movie itself. But that's not why I'm here to talk about it. My main reason for reviewing this movie is mainly because as a young kid, I used to love dinosaurs. And growing up, I always saw stock footage of this movie on various TV specials on either Animal Planet or Discovery Channel. And, over the years, I became a huge fan of Ray Harryhausen, the stop-motion animator who's worked on various other movies. And so, being a fan of Ray Harryhausen and dinosaurs, I just had to see this movie at some point. So, is 1 Million Years B.C. any good? As for the plot of 1 Million Years B.C., it's about this caveman named Tumak who gets banished from his tribe, and while wandering through the desert, he meets up with this other tribe and falls in love with this cave woman named Loana, and the two of them have various encounters with dinosaurs and other prehistoric monsters. In terms of what I like about the movie has really good pacing. I like the soundtrack. I like the overall atmosphere of the movie. And I like how the story is told. Because a movie, after all, is a visual medium. And I feel like most modern day movies rely too much on dialogue. This year, the movie doesn't have any dialogue, or it does, it's barely there. But it relies enough on the visual aspect to give the viewer enough information in terms of what's going on in the story. And the story itself is really simple to understand. And the movie never has a dull moment. There's always something going on that keeps the viewer entertained. Also, the movie has a pretty decent budget because not only are the set designs and the costuming's pretty good, but the special effects are pretty good as well, since the actual stop-motion effects are done by Ray Harryhausen. In terms of what I dislike about the movie, even though the movie doesn't have too much dialogue, since the characters either say their own names or say the name they give to the spear without saying spear, that I don't mind. It's just, at one point in the movie, you have this group of characters who encounter this giant sea turtle, and someone says the creature's real-life scientific name. This bugs me because here's a group of people who can barely speak full English, and they don't even call a spear, yet they call this gigantic sea turtle by its scientific name. That just bugs me. Also, the chroma key effects for the movie are not the best, and they don't hold up by today's standards. And speaking of the special effects, the first dinosaur that shows up isn't even a dinosaur. It's a fucking iguana made to look bigger. You hire Ray Harryhausen to do the effects for the rest of the dinosaurs in the movie, and yet this is the first creature in which the main character encounters. Who thought that was a good idea? And if there's anything else that bugs me about this movie, it is the narration, because the movie starts out with some narration and does provide some gaps for certain situations, but it's only heard at the very beginning. It's never heard throughout the movie or the end. It's just heard at the start of the movie. Why even have it? I think it would have been better if the movie was just silent in the way it was presented instead of having this opening narration. It never comes back again. And there are some parts of this movie that really didn't need to happen. Case in point, you have this character who's just kind of wandering through the desert, and he sees a giant tarantula. Really? It's pretty much him looking at a tarantula, then he just goes in another direction. That's it. I could have done without that scene altogether. And not only that scene, but there's also a scene where he goes into a cave, encounters a bunch of apes, and then leaves. Then at one point goes back to said cave with the apes, and really nothing occurs. Why even include those two scenes at all? For my final verdict of 1 Million Years B.C., although the film might be considered crude by today's standards, I think 1 Million Years B.C. is a fun movie to watch. After all, you have Raquel Welch in a fur bikini, along with special effects done by the late Ray Harryhausen. Life is good. And before I give my final rating, what did everyone else have to say about 1 Million Years B.C.? Looks like not too many people like this movie. So for my final rating of 1 Million Years B.C., I give it a 3.5 out of 5. So what's your favorite movie featuring Raquel Welch, and see you later?